Thank
We
you.
have chat.
Hello.
Hello, friend. Welcome, welcome.
We have done this
Um,
exactly one time before, so I'm sorry
yeah,
if it's
this is our second
funky.
time streaming. We love to see it. We love to see it. Um, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. I'm, of course, wearing a blue shirt because that's a relevant and important color.
I'm doing good. It's a beautiful day outside,
Ugh,
and
here too.
yeah.
Literally gorgeous.
Hmm.
And excited. Excited. Okay. All right. Should we do quick introductions and then hop into a few questions and see if other folks trickle in?
Hmm. Yeah, I know
Um,
most of the people that submitted aren't able to make it, so we will have the VOD up as well.
yes, of course. Anyone who's here probably knows this, but I'm Hannah, writer and creator of Points of Articulation, and my pronouns are she, her.
I'm Fiona, they, them, beta slash developmental editor slash producer of the audio
Yeah,
and such. So,
yeah. Person who keeps me in line, which is a very important task. Very important task and role. Okay. And just as a disclaimer for folks who might be watching this back later, we are going to be answering questions following the end of the written chapters of Points of Articulation, which means that this will contain spoilers for the entirety of Points of Articulation, including like the finale and how it ends and everything like that. So if you are not caught up, turn back now. This is not the place for you. Come back here after you have caught up on all of the written chapters or once the audio finishes or you've read all the books or however you choose to experience POA. Um, yeah. Okay. Should we get into a few questions?
yes.
Um, okay. So one of our first questions is when POA was first releasing, did you have any faith in us finding our way to a happy ending?
No. I
Well, I
honestly
think,
I was kind of pushing for more like horror at the beginning because it kind of started off that way, but then as
yeah.
we kind of went through it more, it became less about that, and then it kind of turned into a fascist regime sort of vibe. So then I was kind of like, okay, I think it would be better if it had a happy ending because
This
then
is the thing.
it's just around
Yeah.
us all the time. So,
Yeah. Like, I am a little bit more of a coward when it comes to writing projects. I always want all my characters to be happy little guys and live forever and get everything they want, which is really a nice sentiment, but doesn't make for a very good story. And Fiona is someone who was consistently reminding me that we need to keep the stakes up. We need to like it will be more of a moving and better story if the stakes feel realistic in a way where like this is a horrifying, dangerous story. Not everyone's gonna make it through. It's more interesting and it's a better story if they don't, etc., etc. That said, we did reach a point. I think it was really maybe like beginning of Act 5, even, where I at one point remember having a text conversation with you where I was like, I don't think I want to write a story where a fascist dictatorship
mm-hmm.
has the possibility of winning. I just don't think I want to write that story right now. I don't think that is a story that needs to be told right now. And so that was really when we decided that kind of the final choice would be between this ambiguous ending where the two worlds split apart and we don't really know exactly what happens, or a kind of hopeful or positive ending where the two worlds come together and we look towards a brighter future and kind of give the mirrorlings a second chance and the brightlings a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we decided that those were the two possible endings, uh, I was pretty sure everyone would vote for the hopeful ending. That I would have been very surprised if they didn't, but like, there was always a possibility and I wanted there to be that possibility, and I would have found it genuinely interesting and fun to write the other ending, but I was pretty sure that it would go this way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. You are not caught up and you are in chat. Please. You will be spoiled for things. I'm so sorry. But thank you for being in chat. We love to see it.
I think we're frozen.
Oh, fully frozen?
I think so.
Oh, no.
Are we frozen?
Chat, you must tell us if we are frozen.
Yay, it's frozen.
Oh, the video is frozen? No!
Sounds.
Up one.
Okay, say something.
Hello?
Oh, thank God.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yay!
Sorry about that. Okay.
Okay. Hopefully we are back.
Yeah, I can no longer see the chat, but that's okay.
I can observe the chat theoretically.
Oh wait, I see it now.
We
I
are
see
back.
it. Sorry about that.
Thank you guys. We love and appreciate you. Maybe that gave Blue Sky the chance to finish up the chapter that they were reading. Okay, but in answer to messages that were sent a little while ago before everything broke, yeah, well, when I originally started writing POA, I really wanted to just write a horror story because I was coming out of like being so into the Magnus Archives and also being so into just like horror as a genre. But I don't know that as we sort of excavated and found what POA was about, it kind of just veered away from horror pretty quickly. And obviously I still enjoyed incorporating horror elements, but it became less about cultivating the sense of horror and much more about like the story we were telling, independent of genre. So that's also why I was okay with it veering into a more hopeful ending rather than a more grimdark ending that would make more sense for the horror genre. Okay. Now, shall we hop into... Oh, Justin. Yes, Justin. Exactly. Okay. Should we hop into another little question? Okay. Do we have any behind-the-scenes fun facts to share?
Oh,
Oh, okay. This is a slightly chaotic one. Well, this is just like... I'm thinking of things that we almost did in the story, but then didn't do.
Oh, yeah.
And I just remember when we were... This was like end of Act 2, I guess. Uh-oh. But end of Act 2, when the rebels, like Hermes, Starkey, and Zosimos, like first appear in the Bright and come through the portal, which I think is the end of Act 2. If I remember right.
Think so, yeah.
Or Act 3. No, Act 2. Yeah. Originally, Hermes was going to be a double of Ben Valentine.
Oh, yeah.
And Fiona was like, we have to stop. We have to stop. We simply cannot. And I was like, well, because the trouble is that POA is so much about, like, doubles of people and the fact that you meet the same people over and over again. And so it would have been justified in the lore, but it just becomes uninteresting if every character is the same guy.
Yeah, my argument was that like it makes the Ash narrow reveal like way less interesting because if everyone is just a double of everyone already, then it's like, oh, well, of course they are. That makes sense, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So that I am glad we made that choice actually in the end. Because I don't think it would have done much. You know? Like I don't think it would have. Yeah. I don't think it would have like been interesting.
And we also went back and forth a lot too about like if we were going to ever confirm whether a Perrin was a double of Henry. Like I'm not confirming or denying that, by the way, for the record. We went back and forth of whether we were going to make that choice. And then if we did, if we were going to confirm it. So instead, we kind of just chose to. There was somebody, I don't remember their name, but someone in the server who posted into the Ellis chat about them thinking that Henry might be a double, and then everyone else like freaked out because they were like, you can't just say that. And then so Hannah and I are just behind the scenes losing it because I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe they just did that. But that's what makes it so fun, is that like they could just interact, they could just talk to the characters. And so we're like, okay, how do we put this in, because we haven't decided whether or not we're gonna make this choice, so like how is that gonna fit into it? And so, you know, ended up being like there were allusions to this potential theory, but nothing ever getting confirmed, because like going back to the doubles thing, like if everyone's just confirmed a double of everyone, you know, is that still interesting? And I think kind of having this like little last mystery in there, especially because Apeiron is so removed from who he was. Yeah, that was funny. I whoever did that, I love you.
Oh yeah, the Lord going rogue and just deciding this reveal. Peak move, peak POA choice. It was so good. I loved it because the thing is, you guys are a voice and you can speak with the characters, but you're not God. You don't. You can tell them, hey, we think Henry and Apeiron are doubles, and they can just not believe you. So like, I wanted to honor the choice, obviously, because it's an interesting choice. But it doesn't mean that I have to confirm that theory. It just means it can like send Nara into an emotional spiral, which so good. I loved it. I thought it was great. And I think that's exactly it. With the whole Apeiron Henry thing, like I think in like Act 1 or Act 2, Fiona, you were like, oh, Hannah, are we going to do Apeiron and Henry are doubles? Because that theory had started to crop up in what you guys, like what the chat had been talking about. And at the time I was like, no, that's not that interesting to me. But then as it progressed, I was like, actually, this theory is more interesting to me. But I also think a big thing with Apeiron, like you already said, Fiona, is just that we don't know who he is. Like he's to the point where he's not that person anymore. And so I didn't feel like it wasn't something that I wanted to confirm or deny. I wanted to leave it open. Like I wanted that interpretation to be available, but not like explicitly confirmed, because it was just more interesting to me that way. I don't know. It's one of those choices where I still go back and forth, like thinking back, where I'm like, should we have like really made it explicit and said, yes, for sure they are? Should we have completely denied it? Like, I don't know, but I like where we ended up.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. And like a lot of it is like POA, a big thing is that it was always a little bit about anticlimax, because POA is so much about form and what the idea of being in a story does to the people in the story. Like that kind of takes the teeth out of a story in some ways, because it's like, it's, you know, you're already playing with the tropes of what it means to be in a story, and you're subverting them and questioning them. And so at the end, it kind of made sense to me that we don't get, like, we are taking a peek into these characters' lives and turning it into a story, but they are resisting that the whole time. And so it makes sense to me that we don't get satisfying answers to every question, because ultimately it doesn't function exactly like a story would, because like everyone is like, get away from us, don't turn this into a story the whole time. Thank you. Yes.
Are there any questions about like things we almost did? Because I have something for that, but that could also go with this question.
You should just say it.
Okay. Ash was like from the beginning going to be removed from the story. So like that was, and I think we've probably said this before, but that was something that was always going to happen, at least like since I started getting involved like partway through Act 1. And there were bits where it was like, oh, I bet this could be really interesting if they're like not wanting to be this love interest thing, like this role that's like been put upon them, and how does somebody react to that? And so we weren't sure exactly how it was going to happen. I was pushing for them to just straight up die. But I really liked how it ended up being, because Null didn't exist as a character yet. So
Yeah.
that just sort of happened. And so then building the Null storyline with Ash, I loved how it went in that direction. Yeah, because we didn't want it to be like, oh, then they're just gone, and like, because it's interesting and it's fine and it's still emotional, but it's less impactful, I feel like, because the way it happened this way is that they are still in their lives, but removed. So like they got what they wanted, but at what cost?
Yeah.
And I loved what Hannah did with that choice. It was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, and so we always wanted, I really wanted to leave Ash's fate up to the audience. But we did talk about, because we wanted Ash to disappear from the story, it was a question of like, how do we leave that choice up to the audience and also do what we think is right for Ash? Like, how do we basically require that they disappear from the story while also leaving how that happens up to you guys? And I think we ended up with two choices that were both very interesting and satisfying, because I think if you had chosen for Ash to die in that moment, it would have been interesting in a different way. And then also choosing for Ash, but like, as with the finale, by the time we got there, I was like, I highly doubt people will vote for Ash to die. I'm pretty sure people will vote for Ash to whatever it was, like activate the portal and let Ash go, because you guys are nice. But yeah, like Fiona said, Null didn't exist as a character. Like I joke about this with people sometimes, where I'm like, yeah, Null was an intrusive thought, because I literally was trying to figure out what to do in that one chapter, and I wanted to figure out the pacing, and I was like, okay, is there an interesting thing I can do here with Ash? And I was like, oh my god, what if they meet this like really crazy person from like a different story, and it shows them the possibility of another place? But Null wasn't intended to be like a version of Nara and Ash at the time. I just was like, oh, chaotic character. And then it just kind of made sense for that to happen. And it actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this literally didn't occur to me until this moment. But I don't even know if you remember, Fiona. But like my first idea was, before we had come up with like who the mirrorlings were and all that, was that the narrator would be like a character who at the end of the story disappears and like comes back. So it's like from the future and is like telling it after it's happened to them.
Yeah.
So like, and then we see like a character going through it and then becoming the narrator and like starting the story over.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
And like,
that was very early.
Because that was like chapter like 3 and 4 or something like that. But like that was like my initial idea, and that was like Nara was going to be like a future version of Ash who's been like lost in some other place or whatever. And that went away pretty quickly. But then when Null came back in, that's basically who Null is like this character who kind of haunts the narrative for the last half of POA, and then is like this sort of future or other version of Ash. So that idea managed to come back in, even though we kind of deleted it very early.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. But yeah, that is super interesting. But yes. Okay. What chapters were our most/least favorite to write /beta read/edit? I will say, since we're already on the topic, writing the chapter involving the choice around Ash, so that chapter that leads up to that choice and the chapter following it where I write like what happens to them, I feared those chapters so much. It kept me up at night in like months leading up to it, because I knew this was a plot point we were going to hit, and I didn't want to do it to him. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But it made sense. But that one, I felt very sad but it was the right choice. Like I stand by it 100%. It just made me sad.
Yeah, for me, probably my least favorite to work on was any of the chapters with like Zara at like 4024 and Nara
Mm.
because I have a little sister. And so I was just reading those and I'm like, oh, and I just thought of my little sister. And so they were just emotional for me. My favorite ones were probably any that involved a big fight scene. So, like, especially with Sanjay. But then at the end of Act 3, 4, where like all of the people are in Pembroke Labs and everything is crazy and happening. And then kind of at the end of Act 5, I really liked when there were all these like 5 million characters and we're trying to keep them all straight. And, because for me, when I'm thinking about a fight scene, I'm thinking about, okay, the main action is here, but where is everybody else in relation to that? You know, because like we can be following these two characters in this big fight, but like everybody else isn't just standing around watching them. You know, I mean, I guess they could be, but not in this situation. And so, how do we thread all of these different things together in a way that makes sense but isn't too hard to follow? And that was a difficult balance, but something I really enjoyed working on. So,
Yeah. Every time I had to write a fight scene, I would write it and then send the chapter to Fiona being like, I need you to detangle this. Because, like, Fiona would be very excellent at being like, how did this guy's foot end up there? Like, how did that happen? And I'd be like, oh, you're so right.
mm-hmm.
And
Also,
yeah, I think.
Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead. Working with Zazimos and her disability, because I'm disabled. So, like, working with Hannah to, like, make a character that I felt was good representation. And there would be times where Hannah would write, like, and then they get up. And I'm like, I don't know if they would be able to get up right now. You know, it's like stuff like that. So, like, putting a lot of my own experience into Zazimos and also getting to voice her, which is awesome. So, I love doing that.
Yeah. There were a lot of choices with the disabled characters, like also with Ben, where, you know, that's not an experience that I share, but it's one that I feels like important to represent. And obviously we're dealing with characters who have been to other worlds, and so who might have like prosthetics or gadgets or, you know, any kind of thing that might help with their disability, but also wanting to like realistically represent what that is like. And so navigating that was fun and often a learning experience for me. So I always really valued like Fiona's input on what some of those experiences are like, or just like your recommendations for where to go to find helpful information if it's not an experience that you also have, you know. Yeah, favorite chapter to write. Favorite. I really enjoyed so many of them. I think I probably the first chapter with Null. I just really enjoy writing Null. They're very funny. I also, this is painting me in maybe a negative light, but I really enjoyed writing any chapter where a Peyton is just being a horrible person.
Well, it's fun to write villains. That's why people love
That's
villains.
the thing.
Thank you.
He like his mentality and the way he operates and the way he manipulates Nara and the people around them is so juicy to me to dig into, and try to inhabit why someone behaves that way. So yeah, super fun. Loved writing a Peyton.
I also love that through Acts 3 and 4-ish, around the time when Zara gets like reprogrammed, you and I were both rereading The Hunger Games at that point. And so you can really see that influence come into the story there. Yeah. And I love going back and being like, oh, here's where we started this book. Here's where we started like Mockingjay. Because we were both like rereading them at the time. And I also like being from South Minneapolis and all of the crazy shit that happened this year. I won't get too much into it because of it was traumatic. But basically that incident fell right around the time where we are seeing a lot more of the fascist stuff happening in the mirror. And so it was hard, but also cathartic to see them like overcome it and take him down. And we had been like planning that for a while, and it was just sort of like a coincidence that it happened to fall around the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really nice to be able to just like lose myself in this fictional world and be like, okay, they do make it through this, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. And I like the chapters where we're seeing like a Peyron's crackdown on citizens in the mirror literally was like in the midst of, you know, from my perspective, not living in Minneapolis, in the midst of just taking in all this horrifying news and hearing about my friends who live there. And so I was very much inspired or like motivated to write those chapters in response to that. And, you know, when I finished one of the chapters where we get very explicit about like violence by the state against regular people, I sent it to Fiona with, of course, content warnings, because I was like, hey, if you don't want to beta read this one, you can tap out. It's all good. But I also asked them, like, is this an appropriate story to be telling right now? Because we can always postpone a chapter for a week or two if needed, or adjust the pacing in a way, or even just change how it's represented if we felt like it's not a story that ought to be told right now. And Fiona was like, no, I think this is a really beautiful way, because we know we're building towards, you know, taking him down, and it feels cathartic. And I was like, okay. And so I was really grateful to be able to put my feelings on the topic into my work, and also maybe provide catharsis for other people who were experiencing that. That's like, yeah. But yeah, you can really, I feel like looking back at POA, I can tell media I was into and things going on in my life / the world by what is happening in POA at the time.
Like how the beginning too is very focused on the horror, and you can really see that we were deep into Magnus archives at that time, and then kind of like pulling more sci-fi direction as we were getting more into Hunger Games. And I love how media influences media. It's great.
It's so cool. It's so fun. And with something like POA, which was so shaped around, like, the original premise of POA was just, what if I wrote a story where people got to vote on it? And I came up with like a basic idea for what I wanted to dig into with that, but I didn't like have the mirror planned out. And then like 7 or 8 chapters in, I started to actually sit down and have like things really planned out. Okay, we literally are yapping so much.
I'm sorry.
We need to yap to more questions, and rather than just regular old yap. Okay, we did that one. Okay. Okay. Oh, this is a chaotic one. If you could switch one character between POA and another piece of media, which one would it be? Who would you swap them out for, and why?
Oh my God, that's a good question. Okay. I need to think for a second. Also, people in chat, if you have questions that you came up with, feel free to put them in there.
Yeah. I believe this was a Basil submission.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's so good at those questions. Oh, man.
Okay. Part of me wants, like, a Magnus Archives character to be in there, because I think that'd be so funny. But I feel like that's obvious, too.
Yeah. Not in a bad way.
No.
I think this might be niche, but I think swapping Naomi with Argyle from Stranger Things 4 would be
oh my God. Okay,
insane
I don't know
and chaotic. I won't give anything away because I know you're watching the show, but basically he is just like stoned all the time and also works at a pizza place and is like an 80s California like guy. And I feel like he being in the story would just make it insane. Like I think it would be way more of a comedy, but that's where my brain went.
Okay, wait. I have another chaotic choice. Swapping out Kaidan for Seuss from Gravity Falls.
Yes, that's so good.
Just for why?
And
Like, I think
swapping
that'd be hilarious.
swapping Hemlock and Grunkle Stan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Imagine them breaking
Yeah.
into the lab and he's just in there like, I don't know what's going on.
Oh my God. Okay, that's a great question.
It's
Very
such a good
chaotic. Yes, Seuss.
He might have wanted
That
like
just says LMAO.
yeah, he might have wanted like an answer that was like, oh, I feel like these characters are kind of similar and can occupy the same place in the story. Instead, I'm like, no, most chaotic possible.
No, he did say for whichever purpose you want, maximum chaos, efficiency in the plot, tragedy, or whatever.
Swapping a Perrin for Plankton, genius. Or Dr.
That's
Doofenshmirtz, I could also see that.
Okay, who's writing the fic? Like, someone write the fic. I want it. I demand it.
My cat's sitting in
okay.
a sunbeam, and she just turned over and yawned, and it was so cute. Sorry.
That's
unrelated.
That's beautiful.
She's so
That's
sweet.
beautiful. Okay. Here is one. Did you ever have to change something because someone guessed too close to what was going to happen, or alternatively, did you make something happen based off something a reader said you liked? We've kind of already talked a little bit about this with a parent, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there was something, yeah, because there was the Apeiron theory that we brought in a little bit more, because people kept talking about it.
I don't think there's anything that we moved away from because people were talking about it.
Yeah, I don't think so. We like leaned into the Henry Fox theory more when that started like coming up.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But that was going to happen anyway, so.
Part of the thing is that POA was very much written like a D&D campaign with the audience as the players. And so you don't I don't know. I feel like in a D&D campaign, you follow where your players are kind of like trying to go. You don't try to like railroad away from that, or alternatively, ideally you don't like 100% railroad where they're going to go either. And so we a big thing in POA was just letting what the audience was interested in and talked about and voted for guide the story, but having like enough of a scaffold that we could still tell a good and satisfying story regardless of where the audience guided us, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to be like, what things did the audience influence? Because to some extent the answer is like everything or almost everything. Like I knew Ben Valentine had been to the wilds, and I knew that the wilds had rebelled against the mirror, but I hadn't really fleshed out exactly what the wilds was like what its culture was like. And then like I pinned a random pin of like a Ben Valentine-esque guy that was wearing like armor, and someone, maybe Basil or I don't know, someone like took a screenshot and was like, oh my God, so weird, like this pin on the board. And I was like, oh yeah, we can make the wilds more about like armor and swords and more kind of like fantasy medieval core in terms of its aesthetic. Like, yeah, that sounds great. And so it's like, I don't necessarily credit that with the idea that the wilds would be like that because I was already thinking about it, but also like that definitely influenced me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say like, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of when shows purposefully try and I was gonna swear, but I don't think I should. Anyway, mess with you. And like where people are like, oh, this would make sense. And then so they're like, oh, well, we're actually just not going to do that because we don't want you to guess it right, even if it's the thing that makes the most sense. You know, so it's like a good twist is something that has been there the whole time that you see and you're like, oh, how did I not see that ages ago? You know, and like a good twist is not, oh, you know who the real villain of the story is? It's actually Thor from the Avengers, and he's been here the whole time, and that's what's happening now. Like, I, really embarrassingly, but I guess I was in middle school, but when I was a kid, I was really into the show Pretty Little Liars. So into it. And so in that show, would constantly, like, the fan base would be like, oh, I think this thing is happening. I think this person is the killer, whatever. And so we guessed right. And then they just intentionally wrote a different character to be the villain to just like prove us all wrong. And I'm like, how is that helpful? You know, I'm like, you wrote a good twist in that we saw the clues you were laying down. And that's why I love Gravity Falls so much, is because, like, I guess spoiler alert for Gravity Falls, but like, it's 10 years old. It's fine. Ford has been there the whole time. Like, you can see elements of him in the story. Like, you rewatch it and you're like, the reason why Stan knows that Gideon isn't a real psychic is because he calls him Stanford and not Stan Lee. So it's like, if he was a real psychic, he would call him by his real name. Like, there's little things like that the whole time, and it's so good. And so I don't like when people are like, oh, well, they guessed it right, so now we're just gonna do something completely different. I'm like, you wrote a good story and now you're just ruining it for no reason.
I think if you are writing a twist that way, you are kind of like getting off on betraying your audience rather than on telling the good story, in my opinion.
Yes.
And like,
Johnny Sims has talked about this too, with people guessing stuff in Magnus, and how it was important to him for people to guess stuff correctly. And
and like, for me, in like twists that I've written, which like a lot of them have been like twists in like fan fiction that I wrote prior to writing POA, and then writing POA, and now also writing like You Are the Ghost in This House. But I always see it as like a bell curve. And maybe this is even something I got from Johnny. I can't remember where I first heard this, but it's like, the best twist is like bell curve, where a small fraction of your audience guesses it instantly the first time a clue is said. A small fraction never has any idea. It completely takes them by surprise, to the point that they might be mad because they're like, this doesn't make any sense. But the majority guess it right before you reveal it. That's like the sweet spot. And so once people started guessing something, it's much more fun to me to start to weave that in more than to try and like cut it off. The only twist that we didn't, well, I guess since we talked about, like, the only twist I would say we didn't fully lean into is the Apeyra and Henry doubling potential. And that's only because it wasn't something that, like, the confirmation of that was not as exciting to us as the writers. But we still leaned into providing hints to it and feeding the theory because it makes sense in world. It's interesting in world, and it was interesting to you guys. So it made sense to put that in and kind of bolster that. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Are there any details / characters / sequences that you feel are underrated?
I don't know. People get so hyped about everything. It's so nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything that I felt like people weren't as invested in. But I feel like people were pretty invested in all of it.
I will say one thing, and this is my bias because I voice her, but Zazamos and Felicity, I love the two of them together, and I wish people were more into that, but that's okay. Because it is also like...
This is true.
It is also like not a huge plot point because there's so much else happening. But yeah, I would say that. And I think Felicity, just in general, I love her. She's just probably my favorite character.
Yeah, I do. Okay, I do have some things that I wish I could have like given more screen time to, I will say, which is not quite the same thing as something that I feel is underrated, but just something I didn't get to explore as much. Like, I would have loved to dig more into Zosimo's and like her arc and her relationship with Felicity. Like, I feel like those two could have been the main characters of POA very easily because there's a lot of depth and interesting stuff there.
She was gonna maybe die too.
Yeah, maybe almost. Well, the trouble with character deaths is that I personally think character deaths are rarely the correct character ending, but sometimes they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it is difficult to figure out, are you going for a character death because it raises the stakes and keeps some shock value, or are you going for a character death because it's the right ending for that character? And I feel like with Zozimos, what I ultimately came down to after talking with Fiona a bunch was that, like, Zozimos starts out, like, her arc is that she was like a soldier of the mirror. She has this change of heart, and then she experiences this deep self-hatred where she like rejects her original name because she doesn't feel worthy of it. And she views herself, like, her original self, as having died. Like when she talks about Lucy Clarity, and she's like, Lucy Clarity died and I died too, and I'm only still continuing on to preserve her memory. Like, Zozimo sees herself as like a ghost, basically. And I feel like showing her that, like, I feel like it is a more interesting ending for her to accept and live and continue her life and, like, fall in love with someone and take down the people who she originally worked for and adopt a child and live. I think that's a more interesting ending for her than if she dies, because dying in the heat of battle is almost what she wants the whole time, or what she's expecting the whole time. And so I think there's a nice reversal or satisfaction in her accepting and moving forward.
Totally agree.
But I also think she could have had a really cool death scene. And I do think there would have been some interest and satisfaction in that if it had happened in an interesting way, or maybe sacrificing herself for someone else. I think there could have been an interesting arc in there. But ultimately, it just, like, the way the story progressed, I didn't feel like that was going to be the most interesting end for her.
Hemlock, too, I think is underrated, but yeah, I love Hemlock.
I wanted to work more of her into Act 4, and the Act 4 pacing, I have regrets, but alas, so it is. So
we can always, like, switch stuff around for the manuscript. We have that ability.
Yeah. I think, like, in terms of adapting to the books, mostly I like to preserve, like, as much of the original spirit as possible. But what I would consider doing in Act 4 is shortening some chapters if there are scenes that I feel are superfluous, and combining multiple votes into one chapter or something like that. But we'll see, because I don't know. We have to see how it goes.
We'll get there.
And maybe when I reread it, it'll feel better.
We'll get there when we get there. I loved when we first met Felicity and she punched Ash in the face. It really started to make us question whether all of the narrators were not as chill and casualish as Nara. Yes, I loved that too.
Yeah, 100%.
Also,
was very fun.
If you have questions, put them in chat. It can be about anything.
Yeah, ask us whatever. Ask us about the secrets, all the secrets. Yeah, that was a fun moment because we still hadn't decided exactly who Felicity's narrator was, but we knew it was going to be, like, a bad person.
Yep.
And then not too long after, I think we decided it would be a Peyren. And so looking back now, I'm like, that's so funny. That moment is so funny. A Peyren sees a double of his, like, little pet narrator who's caused him so much trouble and is like, I gotta just, like, deck that guy.
I loved it.
Okay. Do you have any favorite memories / moments over the course of POA releasing?
I loved the Ash death transformation chapter because that's what I'd been looking forward to since the beginning working on it with Hannah. And I also have a memory of last May being in Princeton with Hannah, and we were walking along this gorgeous canal, and it was beautiful out. It was like 70 and sunny and gorgeous, and we're just talking about POA for like 2 straight hours, and we're just like, well, what if this thing could happen? What if this thing could happen? Because, you know, we don't see each other in person all that often, and so it was so fun to just, like, dive, just have, like, yap time about anything we could think of with the story. And, like, we also talked about Ellis becoming more of, like, a autonomous being then, and that was probably one of my favorite memories. I loved that.
Yes, that I was literally thinking of that moment and that conversation because it has stuck in my mind as well. Um, and I think in that moment we actually kind of started the conversation because I forget which of us it was. One of us was like, "What do we do with Ash?" Because we thought we wanted Ash to depart from the story. We felt like that makes sense for their arc, but we weren't exactly sure how or in what way they would go about doing that. And the trouble with Ash is that Ash's whole thing is that they, of all the characters, least want to be there.
Yeah.
They're like, from the get-go, they're like, this sucks. This is bad. What's happening to us? Why is everyone so chill about it? Hello? What is going on?
Sorry, just turning
and
the fan
so
on. It's getting warm in here.
Because they were so unwilling to participate in the story, it actually was like not obvious to us as the writers what they wanted. We really had to like dig into it and try to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't coming up as a part of like natural conversations between other characters that Ellis witnesses. Because Ash is like, I refuse to have these conversations in front of Ellis.
That was a big part of trying to figure that out. Yeah. Because you can't have a character that doesn't have any motivation. You know, you need them to have that to be interesting as a character, but also part of their character was that they couldn't talk about it. So it's like, how do we lean into that, but also make it make sense for this stuff to come out and when it comes out?
Yeah. Exactly. Fiona actually was not part of this particular moment because it was related to an ARG that Fiona was not part of like the development of. I think you were just too busy with stuff, and I ended up working on it with Aaron Olkin.
Was this the computer one?
Diecode.
Oh, well, I also just had no idea how to do any of that. So
yeah,
like I'm gonna sit this one
Aaron
out.
and I got in the weeds about it, and we were just going.
I say with love.
Yeah. And it was I loved Diecode. Okay, this is going to combine two questions because another question was which of the ARGs was your favorite? They're also fun. But I will speak first about Diecode. But for those who don't know, me and Aaron have been like best friends since high school, and we literally have always wanted to make a video game together, and finally we have now made a video game together, and I hope to make more video games with Aaron in the future because that was so fun. Did Aaron not sleep for a solid week? Maybe. I did not ask him to do that. He just did that.
Yeah.
But there was a absolutely chaotic moment when we were launching Diecode because we first launched the Ellis bot on the Discord server, which would like play the Ellis radio and play the music and also deliver like a coded message every so often. And so Aaron and I were on video call. I give him like mod access to the Pitchpine server so that he can import the Ellis bot into the Pitchpine server and start the radio at the exact, because I had been doing like a countdown. And so we wanted it to line up with the countdown that I'd been doing in the Discord server. And so Aaron and I are there. We import the Ellis bot. The video call, I think, crashes. I don't even remember. Aaron gets booted from the server. The Ellis bot gets booted from the server. And I'm like, what is going on? And it turned out that I have like a security bot to help prevent like other like malicious bots from entering the Pitchpine server. And it had decided Aaron was the enemy. And so like, it's like super late at night for me. I am just like nervously waiting for this bot to arrive in the server, and everything crashes and dies.
Yeah.
And Aaron and I, like, my heart was pounding, adrenaline. I'm like, it's all going wrong, And Aaron is also freaking out, and we get back on the video call. We managed to have it launched. It starts launching, and it starts working, and we were like, why was that, like, the most stressful 5 minutes of our lives for some reason? Like, absolute chaos, but so fun. I loved Ellis Bot. Yeah, Diecode was super fun because, hey, got to make video game with my best friend from high school, so that was a great time. Truly a childhood dream. Loved, not Record Scratch, that's the Cycle 99 one. Loved Restricted Access, which is the one I made with Alexandra.
I loved writing I got to write the textbook entry for that because I'm a biologist in real life, so that was really fun. I love doing that. But that's like my favorite kind of writing.
Love playing with puzzles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just super fun and just so fun to just like make weird little ephemera and materials in the world of POA rather than just writing or doing audio. And then the very first ARG, I guess, was people discovering the secret channels in the server and doing like role play. Doing the role play, that's a great time.
Yeah,
that's a
that
great
was
time.
Fun.
So fun.
All right,
so
we have
fun.
a couple questions from chat I will read.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Do you have any intention of writing more how things could have gone chapters where we voted differently? It's probably for you, Hannah.
Honestly, I will say at the time when I was doing those, I found them difficult to write because I didn't ever plan POA as like a series of branching paths. And so I didn't have the answers to what would have happened if you'd voted differently at the ready every time. Occasionally I did. But I think it would now that it's all finished, I think it would be fun to go back and write like a scene of what would have happened differently, more than like necessarily a whole chapter or a whole bunch of chapters. So I would definitely consider that as like a fun way to return to POA at some point. But it's hard because again, like I never thought of it that way, and so I like once you guys would vote, I would then shape the chapter around what you voted for. So yeah, but it'd be fun. I think I've just been like I've missed writing in the POA world, even though I've only been out of it for like a few weeks. So that would be a fun way to hop back in. Did we have another question from chat?
Yes. What would the wild animal transformations be for the characters we didn't get to see in the book? Naomi, Zaz, Felicity, Ben. And if you have any ideas, also what would your animal transformation be?
Yes, someone else did that as a question.
Naomi, I think, is a bird of some kind.
I think so too. And Lou originally was a bird, so makes sense. But I think Naomi would be like Lou's was a raven, but I think Naomi would be some other corvid.
Yeah. Zaz to me is some sort of like large cat. Like a panther, maybe.
I like that.
Or like a snow leopard. Something like that.
Yeah. Ben
is a bear to me.
Yeah, and Lou's second one was a bear, so I think they would match. I think that's cute.
Ooh, Magpie Naomi. I like that.
I like Magpie Naomi. That's I actually had come into my head as I was saying another corvid or bird. Felicity, I feel like
something
would be. She's tricky, actually.
Something pokey, maybe?
I kind of think like porcupine.
Yeah, like a porcupine or... What is the other thing?
Echidna?
Yeah.
Hedgehog?
Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Armadillo?
Something like that. Like a desert mammal of some kind to me.
Yeah, spiky. I agree.
I think mine...
And I feel like we've, in a previous Q&A, we also talked about what ours would be, but I don't remember what either of us said, if we did.
I don't remember either. I think I'd be a bat.
And maybe it's changed.
I don't know. I have bats on my arm, so I think that's what I would be.
I love that. You would hang from the ceiling.
I think that'd be fun.
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I would be something, maybe some kind of bird. I feel like it would go either bird or like one of those large rodents, like a beaver.
I also see you as fictional as like an Iridian from Project Hail Mary. I see you as like...
Oh my god. huge compliment. Oh my god.
Yeah, you give Iridian to me.
Wow. But what color of stone would I be if I were an Iridian?
Cerulean.
Sorry, wait, this is not a... Wow, like all the fan art of Adrian. Sorry, this is not a Project Hail Mary stream.
It can be. It would.
It will be soon if we don't cut
Yes,
ourselves
yes,
off.
yes. Cutting off, cutting off. Okay. I loved when we learned the Mirrorlings were kept out by salt, reacted to silver, and Naomi, Henry, and Ash were connecting them to all this folklore in our world. Yes, I love that too.
Yes. Okay, this is something we've uncovered something that I think is underrated, partially because I dropped it out of the plot a little bit, like it just faded into the background. Well, oh, okay, wait, this will be possibly a reveal
Do
that
it.
I remember teasing the chat about this a while back, and I don't think we ever addressed it, but I at one point teased the chat and I was like, there is a choice that determined the genre of POA originally.
Yes. Yes.
And it was I don't know, maybe we've told everyone this
I
before.
don't
Can't
remember.
But if we have, you get to hear it again. But basically, at one point, chat gets a chance to ask Naomi about her belief in the supernatural versus about like the science she's studying with Professor Wilkins. And the chat voted for like ask about like whatever that was. I don't know if that's what the options were and how they were phrased, but like that was the meaning of them. And that basically determined, are we going to follow the thread of folklore and monsters and kind of like eldritch horror stuff, or are we going to follow the more sci-fi thread of string theory, multiverse, whatever? And that really launched us down a more science fiction direction. And originally, I had built in a lot of the idea that our world, or rather the Bright, I guess, has been tangling with the mirror for long enough that a lot of our legends are about the mirrorlings. And that's hinted at all throughout Acts 1 and 2, and then we kind of stopped talking about it. And partially that's just because we did go so much more fully into the science fiction direction, so it just didn't come up as often. But that is like in the lore in my mind is like if you think about the idea of like resonance in POA as this like sense of harmony versus dissonance, our like a world's belief systems and folklore would kind of have this sort of psychic power that comes up in other places in POA, and therefore it is because we have these beliefs about the mirrorlings and about vampires and about folkloric monsters that they are resistant to salt or silver burns them or whatever it is. It's because we have those beliefs that they work on the mirrorlings. Is like something I was doing, especially at the beginning, and then we kind of didn't talk about it anymore. And when they go to the mirror, it kind of becomes moot because, like, if you're in their homeworld, they're not going to have salt lying around, you know? But yeah, so I think that aspect could have been explored more or talked about more and kind of ended up not being that relevant to the theories, but both because of how it's written and kind of what people voted for and were interested in. Okay. Should we pull another question from our submissions?
Yeah, real quick. I'm curious about an alternate world where POA leaned into the supernatural more compared to the science fiction, but it's so good either way. Thank you. Yeah, me too. I'm glad it went the sci-fi way because I'm a scientist, so that's what I like to write. But because when it started going that way, we were talking about like the mirror and how it like reflects the bright, and I was just like chirality, and Hannah was like, oh my god, that's what my mom does. And because she works on chirality, and so that aspect kind of became like an important science fiction sort of element of it, and then that also kind of led us down that path as well. But
also, like, my favorite genre of all time is fantasy that is secretly science fiction. So usually what that means is like you feel as though you are in a magical or fantastical world, and then a lot of the magic becomes explained by scientific principles or by like aliens is often the twist, is like, just kidding, all the magic stuff was just aliens the whole time. And I love that. I eat it up. It's so good. I love it so much. And so
Gravity Falls. That's
Gravity Falls, perfect. Yes, exactly. I love that. It's so good. And so I always wanted to have these like this idea in there of like magic and folklore is explained by or related to these other branching worlds that are influencing our world, and we are turning them into legends as a way of processing what's happening without fully knowing what's happening. But I also am just excited that we went in a more sci-fi direction because I love science fiction and like I love physics and I love astrophysics and I love space. And so I got to talk a lot about like space and stars and gravity and multiverse theory and all that stuff, which I enjoy. But I
I'm-
definitely think there is like a supernatural, as in like the TV series Supernatural, vibed version of POA, which is more like monster of the week, gritty, fighting different monsters, magical, whatever. There's a version of that exists somewhere else where people voted differently right at the start.
I'd always imagined if there was a more gradual entrance to the mirror instead of being thrown into it, a scene of the main group loading up with homemade salt grenades and silver knives and wooden stakes. That's awesome. That could have been cool too.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
All right, next question.
And again, something we almost built towards was a more gradual entrance.
Yeah.
It made more sense to just be dramatic.
Yeah. We should probably start speed running a little bit.
Yeah, but we started late.
True, but
yes, I agree. We should start getting through a few more. Okay. What is, if we were going to write fan fiction of POA, what crack ship would we write about?
Oh man, it's so weird to me to like think, because I haven't read any POA fan fiction. I think because the characters just exist in my head as they exist in the story as is canon, so like it's hard for me to picture anything different. I think Paige has talked about Perrin and Henry before, which is funny.
Really? Just dragging Paige into
I agree. I think that would be a good crack ship. Have either of you watched Event Horizon? No, I have not watched that. Have you watched Event Horizon, a horror movie similar to the Concerto Crew? I have not watched that.
I have not. Clearly I should. A crack ship, I would write Zosimo's Felicity Zara. Thruple.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't think it makes sense in the canon of POA because to me Zara is, at least at this point, effectively kind of arrow ace, or just like not really interested in pursuing like a romantic or sexual relationship. Well, maybe she would hook up with someone, I guess, but like I don't really see her as being interested in coupling up with someone at this time because I feel like she just kind of gained her independence and is still putting herself back together. However, if I were a fan of POA and people had written Zosimo's Felicity Zara crack fanfiction, I would be eating it up. I think that's amazing. I love it. So if anyone writes that, send it to me.
Ben and Wilkins. I want a Ben and Wilkins crack ship.
That's terrible. That's awful.
You're welcome.
So, okay, if we speak it into existence, maybe someone will write it. And I do think POA needs to have more crack one-shots, as every good fandom should. Okay. I feel like do we have a favorite chapter? We kind of have touched on it.
Yeah. I also don't remember which chapter goes with which thing, but yeah, probably the Ash one.
Yeah, I liked the one where Null's introduced. I also like the one where we dig into a parent's backstory a lot. I just liked writing and doing the exposition for a parent's backstory. I don't remember which one that was. It was like 69 or something like that. Nice.
I love the Concerto too.
Yeah. Honestly, writing the text of die code, which like just traces what happened on the Concerto, was super fun and very challenging to write in that format. Okay, what character was the most fun to write or edit? I guess also which is your favorite? I found Perrin really fun to write, as you discussed.
Zosimo's. I just love her. I know I'm super biased, but
I love her too. I loved writing her like monologues and stuff that she has. They're just so good.
And when she first came into the story, like I wasn't necessarily going to voice her. That sort of just happened. So, yeah, I love her. I
looked at Zosimo's and I was like, I know the best person to voice this character, who's awesome.
Aw, I love Hemlock.
Yeah. She also doesn't get enough screen time, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
Sad, but alas. I love Null. I love a Perrin. Possible favorite chapter is the one where we get the nurse log.
I freaking love the nurse log. You guys are gonna love who
and
is voicing the nurse log.
the noise log.
The noise log.
The noise log.
Yeah.
I had been trying to figure out something that everyone would discover inside the labs that would kind of push them into the final sequence of fighting back against a Peyrin. And I wasn't sure what that would be. Like, I had some ideas. And then I visited my relatives who live in Northern California, and we went to the Redwood Forests. And I was like, oh, a nurse log. My niece, who's like 11, was explaining the concept of a nurse log to me. And I was like, 100%, that is going in POA. That's perfect. And I just loved writing the perspective of the nurse log and this kind of way of the wilds coming back into the story and continuing the fight that it has been having with the mirror this whole time. So I love that chapter, and I loved writing her. She's wonderful. Yeah, okay. Okay. If you could send a message to any character from POA, who would it be and what would it say?
Sanjay, run away.
Yeah. Do not do anything that you are going to do. Go. Flee. It's interesting, though, because I was just editing the manuscript for Act 2, and I was just editing the chapters where Sanjay dies. And I was reflecting on how much her dialogue in those scenes reminds me of how I later wrote Starkey and also the medic on the concerto. And of course, I guess it's not like ever officially confirmed, but it's intended to be that they are all doubles of each other. And it's just satisfying to me where I was like, oh yeah, this character maintained her morals in all of these different iterations of herself. But what has changed with each of them is Ellis's or the rest of the crew's reaction to her, like how we treated Sanjay versus how we treated Starkey. And I think it was so satisfying when I offered a vote later in Act 4 for Save Starkey or revisit a memory of Sanjay via like the computer in the Pembroke Labs, and everyone voted, I think unanimously, for Save Starkey. And I was like, wow, like that's beautiful to me. I love this. This is such a good vote. So yeah, that might be my answer too. Sanjay, get out. Out of there. Trying to think. I mean, maybe I would just tell Ash to not be an idiot. But I think that was a lost cause.
Yeah, I think so
too. Okay. All right. We've hit a lot of these submitted questions. If you could and had to change the outcome of one single vote, which one would it be? I know my answer immediately.
Go. What do you think?
It is the vote where I offered you a cat and you said no, we would instead like to talk to Kaidan.
Yeah, that's fair. That one, or...
I do love that we brought Kaidan into the story and it needed to happen, and I'm grateful it happened then. However...
Cat.
You could have had it.
Yeah, Cat. I don't know. I think I'd kill Ash. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I love what happened with Ash. I love how it ended. It wouldn't have been necessarily a good part, like story beat, to just kill them. But someone write it. I don't know. I want the fan fiction.
Here's what I'll say with that. I think it would have made sense for Ash to die in that moment because Ash has objectively made a bad choice. And POA is all about like choices and like the consequences of choices. And Ash's decision to leave was a bad one. And to me, quite a selfish one. And a lot of good came out of it. But at its root, I feel that it was a selfish choice on Ash's part. And so I think it would have made sense narratively for them to die there. And I did worry about how best to write Ash being let go by the story and how to give that enough weight so it doesn't seem like a cop-out. because I was genuinely worried of it feeling like a cop-out. And in the end, I don't think it was. And that is what I wanted people to vote for, is I wanted people to vote to let Ash go because I thought that was interesting and I was excited to write it. But I was also worried that I wouldn't be able to do it justice or have it be like a narrative that made sense for Ash. Because I think that Ash dying actually in some ways did make more narrative sense in that moment. But I love the idea of Ash losing themselves as they exit the story, because in a very meta and real way, the story is what has brought them into existence. And so to leave it, you do lose yourself. That is what happens. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, do we have any headcanons separate from what was actually made canon?
Headcanons.
Well, okay, I didn't make this explicit. I have a kind of evil headcanon that part of Apeiron's like influence over Nera involved like the actual meaning of grooming in terms of like sexual or like romantic grooming. But I was not going to write that into POA. But I do think that is part of the manipulation and part of what happened. And probably starting from quite a young age. So that's a really dark headcanon.
Yeah, I think so too. I also think Nera's parents are dead.
Yeah.
It's not like explicitly said, but they're dead. I think that Zara was also very like groomed by Apeiron in that way, going through like the reprogramming and stuff like that.
Yeah. Trying to think of other headcanons.
I have a silly one. I think Ben really likes Metallica.
I love that. I think that's correct.
Yeah.
He probably was really sad that he didn't get to listen to it while he was in the wild.
Yeah. Trying to think. I
feel like I've had headcanons in the past that I was saving for just this moment, and now they're evading me. Oh my god. Ellis and Kat friendship fic? Yes, please.
Yeah,
it's
that'd
needed.
be cute. Yeah, I can't really think of a ton. I have like some more ideas about like Apeiron and Nera's relationship, but that's probably too dark. So just leave it where it is for now.
I'm trying to think of like silly headcanons. I don't know, man. I guess if we think of any, we can always share them in the Discord.
Yeah.
Or maybe some will come up if I do end up writing some alternate choices. Okay, let's see. Anything we haven't covered yet? Someone asked, when can we expect short live-action horror/drama series based on POA? Man, I would. That'd be awesome.
We have $0. So
give me dollars and I'll do it. I actually had a chaotic conversation with Aaron, same Aaron who I wrote Die Code with, about POA the musical and what that would be like. And
I feel like it would
I
feel like it would kind of have the same vibe as the guy who didn't like musicals. In a weird way.
I said it would have to have that vibe. No, you have to it has to be like a horror comedy vibe, right? And I was like, okay, you do the first 3 acts as like act 1 of the musical, because book 1 of POA is like nothing happens. And then like 4 and 5, a lot happens. So you have those be act 2.
Yeah. And Henry.
And then the mission happens when Nera comes through. It's perfect.
Yeah. Like Ash reminds me so much of Paul Matthews, because they're like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be involved in this. I'm just a guy. I don't want any of this to happen to me. Because like, okay, I could I could rant for multiple hours about the guy who didn't like musicals. I literally have friends coming over tonight to watch the new revival version, which I got to see live, which was awesome. But okay, so I won't rant about it too much, but like the kind of concept of characters being aware that they're in a story gradually and then like choosing to engage with it or push against it. And so I feel like that could be cool. Yeah, I don't know. Give us $10 million and we can make a TV show.
I do think it could work as a TV show. I think it'd be hard to do as a musical because of all the doubling. Yeah. Becomes tricky. Like you'd either have to cast twins for a lot of the doubles or have actors like playing multiple roles and swapping back and forth, which can be confusing.
I don't think it'd be that hard though, because I mean, like people have talked about a musical version of Sinners where you would have two actors just like playing Smoke and Stack. Yeah. And I'm like, I think that would be fine because there's been plenty of musicals where that sort of thing has happened. So
that's true. And like for like someone like Nash, the ship name of Nara and Ash. Ew. No, thank you. Some people may ship it.
Not for me. Not for me.
You can whatever you want.
Yeah.
But Nara and Ash, I feel like is the main one where like they actually like converse a lot. And so I think for them, you would have to either cast, doesn't necessarily have to be twins, but you have to cast actors who like look enough alike that it's obvious that they are obviously doubles. But of course, also there's like a nature versus nurture question. And like Nara and Ash are described at points in the story as looking more different or more similar to each other.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much you can do with costuming, wigs, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's true. I think you could make it.
Like the first shadow has a bunch of doubling, like body doubles, and I didn't even notice it for the first few scenes. I was like, wait, how did he get over there? And I'm like, wait, that's a whole other person. And and I've heard that the Lost Boys, which I'm seeing in a few weeks, also does stuff like that, where it's like a bunch of doubles, like body doubles and stuff doing stunts. So like it's definitely doable. Yeah, now I'm just thinking about how I would stage this. I think with good makeup and wigs, you could absolutely pull it off. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Okay, give us $10 million and we'll make a musical.
Literally, I have so many friends who would die to make a musical.
Yeah, or like Hiba. Oh my God. If you don't know Hiba, she did the cover art for the POA audio, and she also wrote the theme song for Yatgith. Well, I mean, it wasn't originally for that, but we use it for that, and she's lovely and amazing, and oh my God, she would write the best thing ever, and I'm just thinking about it. That'd be so good.
Okay, all right. We should probably wind down. I have two last submitted questions. Okay. Are there any audience reactions or choices that surprised us?
Kind of already touched on it, but the person who told Nara that they think that Apeiron is a double of Henry, that was like, I just wasn't expecting it. I loved it. And so like I remember checking the chat and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they just did that. That was crazy.
It's like there were like two moments where I like something happened in POA that I didn't know about until I had to sit down and write the chapter and go, wait. And one of them was the Sanjay tie. Yeah. Where I had like written the entire chapter. We said this before, and then checked the vote because I was like, oh, let me just double check. And I was like, okay. And the other one was that message where I was like writing the chapter, and then I heard a bunch of notifications in that channel. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. Rewriting this chapter. All right. Okay. Cool. But I also think a lot of the audience, like, there were so many votes that were so satisfyingly perfect.
Quit doing that.
Like,
stop it.
Oh,
sorry. Ignore me.
Is there cat drama?
Yeah, she's trying to. Wait, she's trying to get in my turtle's tank. Jinxie, quit that.
Oh. She wants to hang out with Fred.
No, she cannot. She cannot.
She wants to. But yes, there were so many votes, and I was like, this is beautiful. Like, the times when you guys tied was often darkly beautiful. Like Sanjay's death, I think was so crucial to the story, even though it was kind of accidental. I also think like the moments where you broke the rules, like when there were 0 votes, which I never thought would be possible. When like the first unanimous vote being to protect Nara, amazing and beautiful, and like exactly what Nara needed in that moment for their character development. Votes relating to just like various unanimous votes, like I mentioned, the Save Starkey vote was very important to me. And then, of course, like the final vote and the vote to let Ash go. Like both of those were so beautiful and like made me very hopeful, especially the final vote being no, the only choice here is to give everyone another chance was very beautiful to me because it was like we've seen the horrors that these worlds are offering and we said we forgive you and you get to try again. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that's like a message a lot of us like need right now, as we are all in real life still in the thick of it in many ways. So some were surprising, but mainly they were just like deeply satisfying. And then last question that was submitted. What are we most excited for now that POA is finished?
A project that me and Aaron Myatt are working on. A new audio drama that I can't say too much about, but will be coming at some point soon. That's pretty exciting.
Wait, challenge. Plugging this secret project that we cannot announce yet. What is one word or one little hint as to what it is that doesn't give too much away?
Zombie romance. Science.
Yeah. Science.
Yeah. I want to say so much more, but I won't.
We shan't. We cannot. Yes, very excited about that. I'm also going to plug Cycle 99, which is going to hopefully scratch the POA itch of audience choices, and also some science fiction elements and some magical elements, but will be more like whimsical, kind of going for like a Studio Ghibli or more Pixar vibe of like hopeful and moving and a little silly, a little fun. Very excited. Already, that's coming super soon. Also very nervous that the audience voting will not be fun because it's just a new format that I haven't tried before, and different from the POA voting. So we'll see how it works. It's an experiment, but I think we will have fun regardless.
Yeah. Also, just more Yatgith. There's some really cool stuff coming down there that I'm really excited about. Working on the manuscript for the rest of POA. So, like, our goal is to have them all out in print by the end of the year. And then I'm going to be going over to some local bookstores and being like, can I have this here potentially maybe?
Yeah. Can you put this on your shelf?
Yeah. So
yes, I will plug for You Are the Ghost of the House. We are about to reach the halfway point, which is going to contain a huge reveal.
Do I know what the reveal is? I probably do. I can't.
Well, it may or may not be surprising to the listeners. Like some of you may or may not have clocked some of what's going to be revealed, but
catch up. It's your time.
It's going to be huge. Now is the time to catch up because we are hitting the halfway mark and it's going to be big.
Crazy stuff's about to happen that I may or may not know about.
Gay.
Oh, yeah.
And also kind of tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, maybe there'll also be more, if you love Fiona's voice, which you should, there will be more Jay Jenkins to come in You Are the Ghost in This House. And we love Jay Jenkins.
Jay,
and their chaotic,
who is so much fun to voice.
There's one so chaotic.
The one bit where we did the Jay has like a voice memo that gets sent to them, and then they just told me to just like, they were like, you just hit these beats, but then just like improvise, say whatever. And so I sent them a few that were like way too bitchy, and I was like, okay, I have to pull back. That is so mean. And so like trying to find that balance of like, because like occasionally I'll go into my Jay voice when I'm doing Zaz and like vice versa. And so like they're both hilarious. So different too, which is like such a challenge because like I'm not a voice actor. I have no training. I'm just figuring it out. But it's fun. So
Yeah. Okay, final shout out. Listen to the POA audio because we have an incredible voice cast.
Yes.
Very exciting new voices to appear in tomorrow's episode and future episodes.
Yep. Keep your eye on the
and-
Instagram. We're going to be posting some of those announcements today. Tell your friends. Rate it 5 stars if you can. It really helps people find it.
They're amazing. They're beautiful and wonderful. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Thank you all for joining us.
Yes.
Are there last? Oh yeah. See, we like tragic gays.
We do.
I also enjoy tragic gays. We love that. But yes. Okay. Last questions from chat. I'm not seeing. We'll give them a minute or two just in case, and then we will sign off.
Yeah.
Fiona and I have to go to a meeting of the 3 fates.
Yep.
Which is now 4 of us.
Yes.
That's how it goes.
We just share one brain cell that just bounces back and forth. Thank you for writing POA. It was beautiful. Aw. Thanks for reading it.
Thank you for playing. You guys are the ones who made POA so beautiful. I literally didn't even know what was about to happen to me when I started writing it. And it has been so amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you all for such a lovely adventure. And probably more to come in the POA world. I doubt I'll be able to leave it alone for long.
Keep your eyes on it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Now we have to figure out how to end the stream.
I can do that. Thank you. Catch you next time.
Catch you next time. See you soon.
Okay, I think